Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Lauren Hardy, and in today's episode, I am going to share with you how you can use a text messaging campaign to build a massive buyers list. Now, why do you want to build a massive buyers list? Why would that be important? Well, the reason is when you get something under contract, when you get a house under contract, you want as many eyeballs on this property as you possibly can get. The reason you want more eyeballs on your property is because that is going to bring in more offers from buyers. And the more offers you have, now you're getting into a multiple offer situation, and you can drive your contract fee up, meaning you can drive your wholesale fee up. You will make more money. And don't we all want to make more money? I do. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you how you can build your massive buyers list utilizing a text messaging campaign. So I'm going to give you the step-by-step in this episode on how my team built a massive buyers list this exact way. I always want to make sure that I have a buyers list of at least 1,000 in any territory I'm at, or any, students territory. I always say, try to get at least 1,000. I've noticed there is a huge difference between having a buyers list of, say, like 100, 150 to then when you hit that 1,000 buyers list level. When you hit that 1,000, that's when you can really move every deal. What I've noticed is when you only have about 100, 150 buyers or anything, in that range, you have less buyers interested in your contracts. But when you get more buyers on your list, that's when you're going to see that almost every contract you actually get, somebody raising their hand. And that's the objective. You want more interest in your properties. So I'm going to review a few things. I'm going to first show you how you get your list of buyer prospects. Where do you go first? What software do I use or recommend? Next, I am going to recommend the texting software. I'm going to show you the one that I personally use, so you can utilize the one I use, or you can go ahead and go out there and compare and contrast, the different softwares. There's a lot of great ones out there, but I'm going to do the homework for you and just give you a recommendation. Then I'm going to go into a script that you should follow when you are contacting these buyers. What should you say exactly to get them interested in being on your buyers list? And lastly, I'm going to share with you what you need to do once you get an interesting buyer. How do you keep all your buyers organized? Well, I'm going to share exactly what my team does. So step number one, get your buyer prospect list. How do you do that? So my favorite way to do that is to go to a list providing company and pull a basic absentee owner list. The company I personally use is batchleads.io. If you go to www.batchleads.io, they have a list providing service. I use them, and if you use my code VIRTUAL, you'll actually get a discount on all your software products with them. So I pull a list of absentee owners. What this means is that the tax billing address, where they get their tax bill, is different from the subject property address. That's all absentee owner is. But what that assumes is that this is a second house for that seller, and that seller might maybe be a landlord of some kind, or maybe they're a house flipper, or essentially an investor of some kind. So I want to look for absentee purchases that have been completed within the last 6 months, because I want the most fresh, recent buyers activity on my list. I want to grab a list of people that just recently bought a property for investment purposes. Now, you can use some other filters if you'd like you want to make sure if you're going after single family, that you're marketing for buyers that buy single family homes, or if you're looking for apartment buyers, you want to maybe pull an apartment buyer list. If you want, you can go ahead and specify whatever filters you wish. There are a lot of filter options. I personally don't over filter. I try to keep my filters very, very minimal. But what's most important is that you've put in there that it is non-owner occupied. If you do that, you're going to get a list and you need to export it to Excel. So that's what we do. We will take it from that software, we export it to Excel, and now I've got my fresh list of buyer prospects. You can do anything with that list. You can take that list and mail them a postcard and see, who's interested in being on your buyer's list. But what I like to do, which is actually cheaper, is I like to send a text message. Now that leads to the next step. You've got to get a texting software. And I get mine at batchleads.io as well. Same thing, under the same umbrella. You can stay right there and utilize their texting software. Could you imagine having to pull that entire list of probably, 1,000 buyers maybe, and manually putting that into your iPhone and texting them one by one? That would take you 3 years. Instead, you could do it in 3 minutes with a texting software. I am not kidding. You could literally text all those people very, very quickly. At the amount of time it takes you to click the button 1,000 times, you can text 1,000 people. So we take that list and we export it, from wherever you got the list from, and then we push it into the texting software. So if you're utilizing batchleads.io, you don't even have to export. You can actually push it into a campaign under the same platform. That's why it's beneficial to use them, because it's all, in one area, and it's less buttons you have to push, less saving on your computer. They just streamline the process. So it's pretty simple if you kind of stick with what they've got to offer. But again, if you're utilizing other softwares, all you have to do is export to Excel and push that Excel spreadsheet into your texting platform. So next, I'm going to go into the script that you should follow when you are contacting these buyers. So what should you say to them to pique their interest in wanting to be on your buyer's list? What I like to do is I like to, first of all, reference them in the text message by their name. I also want to reference the property that they recently purchased that made it on that prospecting list. So I'll say something like this. Hi, John. I noticed you bought a property on 123 Main Street. Then what I want to go into is see if they are still, buying property, or are they still actively investing in the area. So you might want to say something like, I was wondering if you're still actively investing because I have a deal you might be interested in. You can say something like that. You want to pique their interest. You want to get them where they want to know what you have. So you need to say in that intro text, first make it personalized. You want to make sure you reference, how you, came about finding them. And then you want to say something, to get them interested in what you have. I really don't want you to overthink this script thing. You can say it however you want. You just want to make sure that whatever you're saying is going to pique their interest in wanting to communicate with you. Now, lastly, what do you do when someone expresses interest? Now, you can do two things. You can either schedule a time to talk with them on the phone, which I recommend if you are newer to a territory. I think getting on the phone and talking to buyers is one of the best ways to figure out your territory, especially like if you're virtual like me. It's much easier to figure out all the nuances of a geographic area when you pick up the phone and you're talking to experienced buyers who are actively, landlording or fix and flipping or developing in that area. They're going to give you some nuggets in that conversation that you can take with you and you'll find very helpful, in your journey there. But if you are, say a little bit too busy, or you kind of already are really in that area, you know it well enough, and you just want to add to your buyers list, you can just ask them simply, would you like to be notified when I get more deals like this one? And, ask them for their email address, ask them, is this a good number to reach you? Now you're going to take their email address and their phone number. Hopefully it's a cell phone number because, you sent them a text, right? And you are going to put that on an Excel spreadsheet. So we actively keep all of our buyers lists on Excel spreadsheets. And from there, whenever we get a new contract, we take that Excel spreadsheet and we load it into, an email blast type campaign, and we also text blast them whenever we get a new property to alert the buyers who expressed interest in getting, notified when we have a deal. We'll send them a text every time we get a new contract. So, that's basically the whole process. And we found that if you do this regularly, if you keep purchasing that list of the absentee owners, maybe on a regular basis, you're going to keep adding to that buyer's list. It's something that you want to make sure you mark in your calendar, maybe quarterly, to do this, because you are going to just keep adding buyers to your buyer's list. That means that every time you get a new deal, you're going to get more eyeballs on that deal, which are going to, raise your wholesale fees because you're going to get in multiple offer situations. And that's really what you want. I can't tell you how many times I've had, I've given advice to say, newer wholesalers who say, hey, I have a contract, but nobody's interested. I can't move it. And I say, well, how big's your buyer's list? And they always say something like, well, it's 100 or it's 75. And I go, oh man, you're not even close. You're not even close. You don't have enough people on your buyer's list. Believe me, there's a huge difference once you hit 1,000 buyers on your buyer's list. So you need to actively be involved in growing your buyer's list. This needs to be an activity that you are constantly doing as a wholesaler. It's not something that you just do once and forget about. It is something that you should have in the background at all times. We personally, on my team, I have a virtual assistant that is one of her job tasks. She does this exact thing. She does other things as well to build that buyer's list, always actively in the background. So we have the best buyer's list in the areas that we're, involved in, the areas that we wholesale in. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. And if you did, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time.